From being caught cheating, to drugs, sex abuse, and fraud, Hollywood never fails to disappoint when it comes to shocking revelations and scandals. While some celebrities have acknowledged the existence of their love child, others have denied paternity. From Joe Jackson to Steven Tyler, these male stars have fathered illegitimate children. Many slipped away under the guise of business meetings, but when baby bumps started popping up, well, let's just say things got dicey as the years passed and some secrets just couldn't stay buried. In today's video, let's unravel and spill the tea on the secret love children of some of Hollywood's golden era icons. Giovanni Jackson, Daddy's Girl. We all know the Jackson 5 and possibly even the king of pop's other siblings, Rebby, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, LaToya, Marlon, Randy, and Janet. But how many know about his secret half-sister? While Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson's father, was busy disciplining his children and trying to make stars out of them, he had a little girl that no one knew about. Joe did everything in his power to hide and keep her existence a secret from the rest of his family. While keeping her a secret, Joe loved and spoiled her silly as she was just about 10 miles away from his main family. He also put his efforts to push his children in the direction of music. He desperately wanted his children to become famous and established musicians, and he was willing to do everything in his power to make this dream come to life. While molding them into superstars, he was on one hand their talent manager, and Joe Jackson treated his children like they were his clients, forcing them to engage in long and intense rehearsals and forcing them to call him by his first name. While his efforts to make his kids successful in the industry were absolutely normal, as any parent would want their child to succeed, it was later revealed that he sometimes used harsh methods to get his kids in line. In a 1993 interview, Michael Jackson said his father subjected them to all kinds of physical punishments. He said he and his siblings grew up feeling lonely and distant from their father. It seemed like all he was concerned about was them becoming stars while trying to be their talent manager, and forgetting to be an actual father to them like he was to Giovanni. It seems before Giovanni came to be, Joe was invested in his family, and only concentrated on turning his children to stars. However, in the early 70s, Joe Jackson met a beautiful secretary called Cheryl Terrell, and this single meeting led to a 25-year affair and a love child named Giovanni Jackson. Cheryl was in her 20s when she met Joe Jackson, and at the time she worked as a secretary for the police department in Los Angeles. On one fateful day, Joe Jackson was invited to LAPD's Christmas party, and that was where she met him. During the party, a friend of hers introduced her to Joe Jackson, but she had no idea who he was. She had never heard of him before. When they got talking, they started knowing one another properly, with Joe Jackson showing her his charming and romantic side. He bought her gifts often, and soon enough Joe's smooth talking and romantic gestures got to Cheryl. In an interview with Giovanni, she would later reveal that Cheryl wasn't sure she liked Joe Jackson. She just decided to give the relationship a try. As expected, the 20-year age gap between them was very unsettling, especially for her family. Joe Jackson was the same age as Cheryl's mother, not to mention the fact that he was married at the time to Katherine Jackson. But despite all these, Joe Jackson was relentless. He did all that he could to keep Cheryl by his side. In a later interview, Giovanni revealed that her mother was not an obsessed fan like people thought she was. Joe Jackson was the one who did all the chasing, in Joan's words. "My mother is an attractive lady and he saw her and had to have her. He did all the chasing. Daddy had to keep up with my mother. She was very independent and he liked that." The affair, however, brought about the child Giovanni, and when this happened, Joe decided to stay by Cheryl's side and take care of their child. However, he had to do this discreetly, so that his wife and kids wouldn't find out that he had a second family. It is still a mystery how Joe managed to keep this secret for 25 years with each family not far from one another. He would visit them often, take them on vacations, and lavish his daughter with gifts. All the while, he lied to his wife that he was traveling for business meetings. Giovanni explained that Joe Jackson always warned her not to tell anyone about her life. She rarely has friends, and he did everything he could to hide her and her mother from prying eyes. Her entire life was on the low, and there were places she could not visit in her neighborhood. Even grocery stores they could never shop at. Secrets she could never reveal. She didn't exactly have a normal childhood, but Joe Jackson made sure he showered her with love. In her words, "He was very much a presence in my life. I was a daddy's girl. I would be so excited he would bring me presents of my favorite black walnut ice cream. I was spoiled rotten. Decades later, the news about her existence got out. It was certainly a hard pill to swallow, and as time went by, the Jackson family accepted her. Ronan Farrow, Frank Sinatra's look-alike. One of the great mysteries of the world seems to be whether or not Woody Allen is really Ronan Farrow's father. If you ever come across a picture of Ronan Farrow, Mia Farrow's son, you would immediately liken his piercing blue eyes to have a striking resemblance to the very famous singer and actor Frank Sinatra. Over the years, the 36-year-old journalist has made a name for himself through his works, and he is even known as one of the journalists who passionately did the investigative reporting for The New Yorker, which helped expose allegations of sexual abuse and assault by film producer Harvey Weinstein. While this young man is clearly passionate about what he does for a living, people have made it a point of duty to stress him and point out the suspicions about his alleged paternity, which have haunted him for the most part of his life. Growing up, Ronan was sure he had a father, and he grew without a doubt as Woody Allen's son. However, the resemblance between him and the legendary singer Frank Sinatra cannot be ignored. Now, the interesting part about this story is that his mother, Mia Farrow, was married to Frank Sinatra several years before she had Ronan. Some people are of the belief that even after their divorce, she kept on having an affair with Frank Sinatra, which resulted in the birth of Ronan in December 1987. While people would always speculate and say things they know or don't know about others, Mia has helped fuel their speculation with some of her statements as well regarding Ronan's alleged father. Once, Mia was asked in an interview if Ronan could possibly be the son of Frank Sinatra, with which she replied, "Possibly." Judging by her words, there is a high chance that Ronan is in fact Frank Sinatra's son. While speaking to Vanity Fair in 2013, Mia Farrow said that she and Frank Sinatra never really split up. This revelation got people wondering whether she kept on having a long affair with Sinatra, even after their divorce. The pair met initially in the mid-1960s, and what seemed to be like love at first sight soon set everyone's brain with Mia Farrow at only 19 years old at the time, and Frank Sinatra was already in his 50s. As expected, their 31-year age gap raised many eyebrows, but they didn't really care. They were too in love, and 2 years later they tied the knot at a Las Vegas hotel in 1966. Mia Farrow was 21 years old at the time, and it seemed like their marriage was going to work, but Mia later claimed that she was too young and immature for such a serious commitment. She also revealed that Frank Sinatra wasn't exactly okay with the fact that she was working. He would often tell her this, "I'm a pretty good provider. I can't see why a woman would want to do anything else." Their marriage soon ended in a divorce in 1968, but the pair remained close friends. Mia eventually married Woody Allen after another failed relationship. The pair gave birth with one of the children being Ronan Farrow. As Ronan got older, he has lived with the question if Woody Allen was truly his father because of the striking resemblance between him and Frank Sinatra. Although his parents and close family members are convinced that Woody Allen is his father, some people still have their doubts. Regardless of the allegations and suspicions, Ronan Farrow acknowledges Ronan has his father, and that is all that matters. In his words, "Woody Allen legally, ethically, and personally was absolutely a father in our family." Carol Ann. Chaplin's baby. Charlie Chaplin was known by many through his roles, especially his famous character, but after several years of building a successful career, some secrets about his personal life were revealed. Not only was Chaplin rumored to prefer younger girls judging by the categories of people he married and had affairs with, he also allegedly got a young woman pregnant and denied it. As a result of this scandal, there were several pictures of the poor child all over the media, and media reports that showed Chaplin refusing to take responsibility. Chaplin did have numerous affairs, and in fact had relations with the mother of the child. But one thing, he was convinced that he wasn't the father of the child. While claiming innocence, this young woman who got pregnant in the person of Joan Barry continued to insist that Chaplin fathered her child. Their relationship was claimed to have happened in the early 1940s, while Chaplin was still married to his third wife, Paulette Goddard. It was said that Chaplin met Joan, a young and talented actress, and he was instantly drawn to her. She was beautiful, and she seemed like a promising actress, so he took her under his wing and eventually contracted her for an upcoming film titled Shadows and Substance. Chaplin and Joan Barry got romantically involved with each other. There was no way Chaplin could deny having an affair with her because as soon as she served him with a palimony suit, investigations began, and these led to revelations uncovered by the FBI. According to FBI documents, Chaplin told Barry to meet up with him in Los Angeles in 1942, paid for her plane ticket, and as soon as she got there, they began doing romantic activities. Barry also revealed that not only did they attend numerous parties together, she claimed that Chaplin convinced her to get romantically involved with other people, making her available to other men for immoral purposes. The pair also engaged in sexual acts several times in December of that year, and Barry believed that one of those times led to her daughter Carol Ann being conceived. However, the tussle of who owns the baby or not became a wild sensation, and soon, reporters buzzed in like vultures as lawyers testified before the jury. As much as Chaplin claimed not to be the father, Barry became furious and fought tooth and nail to prove that he was the father of her child. Thankfully, by this period, scientists had recently discovered that blood types were inherited in Mendelian fashion. Since Barry's blood was type A and Carol Ann's was type B, experts deduced that Carol Ann's real father must have had either type AB or B blood. Chaplin's blood, however, was type O, so he could not possibly have fathered the child. From a scientific perspective, it looked to be a slam dunk. Over 3 blood tests were carried out, and all the results showed that Chaplin wasn't the father. But Joan believed that the medical professionals who carried out these tests were compromised, so she decided to fight harder, and this led to 2 trials. In the second one, a jury voted 11-1 that Chaplin was indeed the father of Joan Barry's child. Despite blood group evidence to the contrary, they ruled that Chaplin was Carol Ann's father, citing his romantic ties to her mother. As a result of this, Chaplin had to pay child support, and although he tried appealing, he lost. Liv Tyler, a case of hidden paternity. Liv Tyler was 11 years old in August 1988 when she looked up at a poster of Aerosmith frontman Steven Tyler on her bedroom wall and came to a realization that would rock her entire existence. "My mom has a diary entry or something where I wrote, 'I think Steven is my father,'" she explained in 1997. Soon afterward, she confronted her mother, model and musician Bebe Buell, and discovered that her suspicion was correct. Bebe Buell was a model who gained fame in the 1970s for her relationships with rock musicians, and she moved to New York in 1972 after signing with a modeling agency and became known for her liaisons with various musicians. During this time, she also pursued a music career recording an EP and forming a band called the B-Sides. She was extremely passionate about music, and she had a thing for musicians. From 1972 to 1979, Buell was in a long-term relationship with Todd Rundgren. But in 1976, she became pregnant after a brief relationship with Steven Tyler. And this was the beginning of a complicated paternity problem. When Buell gave birth to her daughter Liv Rundgren in 1977, she hid her paternity and put her as Rundgren on the birth certificate. After the truth came to light, Buell cited Tyler's well-known struggles with drug addiction at the time as the reason for her deceit. I mean, no one wants a drunkard, let alone a drug abuser, for their child. Upon noticing the resemblance, Liv asked her mother what she had feared, and the truth was revealed. However, Buell kept the information private until Liv publicly acknowledged Steven Tyler as her father in 1991, changing her surname from Rundgren to Tyler. Despite the separation, Liv and Steven Tyler have since developed a close relationship, and they've even collaborated professionally. Liv has expressed gratitude towards both Tyler and Rundgren, acknowledging Rundgren as a father figure in her life and maintaining a strong bond with both men. She is grateful for the gift of 2 phenomenal men that have become her father figures. Thankfully, Liv Tyler has risen to prominence as a successful actress in both film and television. She began her career at a young age, and her debut in the film industry came in 1994 with Silent Fall. She has since appeared in diverse roles in films, and one of Tyler's most iconic roles came in the early 2000s, when she portrayed the elf Arwen Undomiel in Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings film trilogy from 2001-2003. The trilogy not only solidified her status as a talented actress, but also became one of the highest-grossing film series in history, further boosting her fame. Like her parents, there's no denying that Liv was destined for fame. Scott Eastwood. The Eastwood Legacy. It is impossible to not notice the striking resemblance between actor Scott Eastwood and the legend Clint Eastwood. In fact, it is not a secret that Scott is his son, but not many people know that a dangerous affair between Clint Eastwood and a lady back in the 80s begat Scott. When Clint Eastwood was gaining success in the industry in the 80s, he became a big deal and soon got married to Maggie Johnson, but soon enough the cracks in their marriage began to show. It was said that while he was married to Maggie Johnson, he met a flight attendant that completely captured his attention. Jocelyn Reeves was living her life and focusing on her work when she met Clint Eastwood, who was already a star. However, the two soon began an affair that lasted for a while enough to not just have a child, but 2 children together. Unlike many fathers who abandon or deny children that they gave birth to out of wedlock, Clint immediately took responsibility and made up his mind to take care of his children. Clint ensured he was not an absentee dad. He was a huge part of Scott's life. He and his sister certainly felt his presence as he made sure he provided for them and taught them valuable life lessons. In fact, Scott practically grew up on his dad's ranch in Northern California and spent so much time on his movie sets where he sparked a desire to pursue acting. He fell in love with the craft and knew that if his father could succeed in the industry, he could do the same. However, born to be independent and manly, Scott didn't expect his father to pave the way for him. And when he decided to delve into the acting world, he started using his mom's last name, Reeves, for auditions. Scott needed to prove himself without writing on his dad's fame. Just like anyone else trying to get into Hollywood, Scott had to hustle from the scratch, and he faced the tough early years of his career to make ends meet. He did all sorts, from slinging drinks at a bar near his home in San Diego by night, to hustling for auditions in LA during the day, hoping he would get a big break. Eventually, all that hard work paid off. Scott carved out his own path in the industry and became a pretty big deal in his own right. He's not just Clint Eastwood's son, he's Scott Eastwood making a name for himself both on-screen and off-screen. Scott has successfully built a solid career landing significant roles in various genres. He has appeared in action films like Fury alongside Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf, as well as in romantic dramas like The Longest Ride. Like his father, Scott takes his work seriously and does not fail to put his best into every role. His commitment to his craft and his willingness to take on diverse roles have contributed to his rising success in Hollywood. He also featured in fantastic projects such as Suicide Squad in 2016 and Pacific Rim Uprising in 2018, among others. Beyond acting, Scott has also ventured into producing and directing his own films. His passion for filmmaking reflects how he is truly his father's son. If you like this video, do not forget to share and subscribe. Also, let us know in the comments who gets your votes as the most intriguing illegitimate kid in Hollywood's golden era.